Welcome to Vitalify Unplugged. You're listening to your hosts, Gry and Steph.
In this podcast, we talk about everything health and well-being, science and technology, and ancient wisdom.
This is for the quirky humans navigating the messy middle, looking for the path to true vitality.
It's for the curious minds and tired bodies looking for clarity, energy, and inspiration that works your way. Hey, it's your friend Gry, intuitive AI and tech whisperer, 60 plus, full throttle and talk energy bunny, chasing fun, fairness, and freedom.
And I'm Steph, holistic nurse, soulful scribbler, magnetic mama, dancing through midlife with truth, magic, and messy, very messy, wild-hearted freedom.
Welcome to Vitalify Unplugged. Now, Steph, before we dive in, what's been going on for you since our last episode?
Well, I was very conveniently and kind of in line with the topic today, just have been working with my kids and coming up exams. My daughter's moving into year 8 and they are going through these exams to sort of decipher where they're going to sit in the next year, which is an interesting process of itself. But we have such a cool female principal who is, to me, the ultimate femme leader, who embodies everything that I believe in, and it filters right down.
Person.
I have. She's amazing. And so what the thing that I was just feeling, reflecting on this week, was how proud I am of both my girls for being unapologetically authentic to themselves. And I know that's coming through the being in such a safe environment to be that, and I'm very grateful for that. And I'm just trying to make sure that when they come home, that's being reverberated in our household. So, my partner is Sri Lankan and he has a little bit different views, and so sometimes we don't always align, but I think we're getting there. And watching my girls this week get ready for those types of things. One's doing exams and one's auditioning for a play. And I'm just so proud of them standing in their power and being unapologetically themselves and standing up to me and my husband when they're not doing what we want them to do, but they're doing what they want to do. I'm just really proud of where they're at in their life at the moment. And I think it's coming from understanding my genetics, and really looking at how I can change the expression of the genes that I've been handed, and hopefully not keep handing down wounds to my kids, but hopefully reframe it so that they can use the strengths of our DNA to flourish and thrive. So that's where I'm at. Sorry, that was very long-winded. But where are you? What about you? What's happening?
No, but I think it's so important to just reflecting on what you said back to you there, because I think, and I don't really know too much about the sort of DNA and epigenetics side of things, but I think it's so important, specifically with girls, to help them understand when they can stand up, that they can stand up and they should stand up for themselves and go, no, I'm actually right here. And having that nurturing from home is really, really important. I guess my focus has been on trying to arrange my book tour, if you like. Yeah, so we're recording this a couple of weeks ahead of when it gets released. But so I'm reaching out to people in Sydney and in the UK and in Norway to do that, but also looking at how I can work with organizations to help them unlock hidden or undervalued talent, and
Mm.
that's kind of been my thing. Has nothing to do with epigenetics at all, but yeah,
I'm sure we
no,
can tie
no,
it in somehow.
there's nobody that my genetics are being passed on to, so I can't really do anything about that. But I'm always there to support my nephews and nieces and all that sort of stuff. But also looking at, what is the legacy that we leave online as well. So your data and that side of things. So I'm always intent on showing up authentically, truthfully, sometimes too truthfully, but looking at those kind of, uh, you know, what is the legacy I want to leave? How is that going to inspire future generations and current generations, uh, and people who are older than me, even if that's the case? Like my mom. I'm so
Mm.
stoked. My mom said I'm not going to say that now. She's buying a lot of books from me, even though she's sponsored me.
Oh, bless.
What a
Oh,
lovely moms.
that's beautiful
And also,
genetics.
and it's kind of interesting
Generosity.
looking at the if I have this right, the DNA or the epigenetics or the passing down from my grandmother to my mother and her sisters and to all our grandchildren as well. So if I look at it from that perspective, because I can't really talk about this because I don't have any children. My dog's not got my DNA.
No, I think what we can explore is how you're expressing your DNA and what
Yeah,
legacy that's leaving.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So what if
Where I,
legacy isn't
yeah,
what you leave behind, but more, I guess this kind of leads into exactly what we were saying just
yeah,
then on your reflection is what you live into every single day.
mm,
And new science says our habits don't shape our day, they may shape the generations. So,
mm, yeah,
there's two things to hold there in one space. So,
yeah.
yeah.
And I guess today we're going a little bit deeper into the crossroads of epigenetics, biofeedback, tech, and spiritual inheritance because it's all interlinked and because our choices ripple through time, one meal, one scroll, one micro moment at a time.
Yeah, and anything can change. Like anything, 1 minute things can change in nanoseconds. So it's not
Mhm.
about being fearful of it. It's about being adaptable enough to find the freedom within it and choosing. From my perspective, anyway, choosing, and this has been a big part of my why since working with young people,
Mm,
um, choosing how to shape the next generation so that they have choice that they can embody and then pass on as
mm.
well. And, um, not just the photo albums or, like not just these, but like that a human evolutionary
Yeah.
consciousness.
It's Can I just like jump in because
Go for
I've spent a lot of time at office works this last
it.
couple of weeks because I was printing bookmarks and books and all that sort of stuff. And I was just observing people who were printing photos, which I haven't done for years,
Oh,
right?
no.
But you just mentioned not just the photo albums, but those photo albums are really, really important. And as I was putting my
Oh.
book together, I also went through
Mm.
decades of photos, both online and printed photos, and I put them all together at the back of my book, just like mashed up. Well, I ordered them and then my editor put them in different order. That's okay. But I do think that's important. Anyway, let's move back on to epigenetics. I don't really understand what it is, so why don't you take us
So
away?
I
I do kind of understand it, but
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I have loved I kind of nerd out on it in terms of I feel like it's an opportunity, right? Like it's an opportunity where you're not just handed this set of DNA and then you have to follow what your families did and your culture say and your society and your environment, whatever. So whilst I value that and I think that's very important, this whole new science, which isn't actually that new these days, but it really shows us and gives us the opportunity to become aware of what our DNA, um, how our DNA shapes us, but then how we have the opportunity to modernize it, upgrade it, up-level it, and express the strengths of those DNAs in a way that reflects our true desires, our true wants, our true self-belief, higher self type behaviors. So it sometimes is a bit undoing a lot of work to undo some of the conditioning and patterning. But epigenetics does things like shows us how our sleep, stress, food, even our relationships can turn genes on or off, which means that our story, like what I was trying to say, is not locked up in your DNA. Like I know science and medical science want to say that, and even psychology. But it can be expressed differently through your daily choices.
So if I try to simplify that layman's terms, plain English,
Please.
laywoman's terms.
Yeah.
So the science without the scare, epigenetic is like a dimmer switch for your genes. So you
Yeah.
can choose which bits you like and not. So your behaviors, what you eat, how you breathe, who you love, they dial things up or down.
Yeah.
And your DNA kind of holds the piano, but you're kind of, if we think about the musical terms, since we did a recording on movement before, you know, but you're playing the keys. So
Oh,
the DNA
I love that analogy. That's really
uh,
beautiful, actually.
it's just kind of like you're in charge. It's a little bit like what we talk about for AI as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it can be really, it can really go off tracks and be really bad. But if you're in charge, if it's human control, if you're driving it, if you understand how to drive it, then um then that works. So we could compare almost DNA with AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
occurred to me then.
That's so cool. I've even read what we do now, especially around pregnancy, stress, and food, can imprint patterns for 2, even 3 generations. And I want to add to that, if you talk to the spiritual community, or even, I'm pretty sure there's some science in this, that we still carry the behaviors in the DNA of our ancestors. I've heard up to 6 to 7 generations back, but
Mm.
I've heard as far as 20.
Oh,
So
in the
you know,
spiritual. Mm.
yeah.
But
No, I'm pretty sure there's some science.
yeah,
I haven't had
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't quote
No, no,
anything
no.
off the top of my
That's
head.
it's kind of interesting because, and this probably, well, is it related to epigenetics or not? I don't know, but it's like ingrained behaviors and that sort of stuff. So, for example, they say at least 3 generations to get over trauma. So, um, I don't know if this is appropriate for this podcast, but Norway was occupied during the Second World War by the Nazis, and
Mm,
I was born way after the war. My mother was born just before the war, and my stepdad's actually a German child, so he's a child of a German soldier, which is a whole story to itself. Anyway, but my generation and even my nephews and nieces, they still have this kind of reluctance to Germans. Like I have a lot
mm.
of German friends, just saying, but it was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
oh, because there was that trauma in the whole population.
No, and can I say, back when about 2010-ish, 11-ish, I traveled through the Czech Republic,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
again, I'm hoping, I'm not trying to be insensitive or
no.
disrespectful in any way, shape, or form, but going into those places with that deeply layered, traumatic,
Yeah,
brutal history, you can still feel it in the streets of Prague, like
yeah,
the
yeah. When were you
courtyards
there?
where 2011,
All right.
2010, no, 2010. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
went there in 90, just after the Berlin Wall fell, and then I went, this has
Yeah.
nothing to do with epigenetics, but there's just,
Oh, I disagree. I think it does.
this is our lived experiences and our thoughts,
Yeah.
and that sort of
Mhm.
stuff. And if anybody is upset about it, please let us know, and we'll,
Yeah.
you know, we won't filter ourselves, but we just want to make sure that we are creating a safe space where people can ask questions. It's not about
100%.
agreeing or
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
not agreeing and things. But Prague is such a wonderful place, and it's the I don't know what it's like now. I was there in '90, and then in '95, I think '93, maybe. And it was kind of interesting to see that. So I don't know what it's like now, but then it was like all the facades were beautiful, and then you went behind, and it was all like run down and things.
Mm.
But I guess it makes us wonder, what patterns did we actually inherit unknowingly, and which ones are we consciously rewriting today?
And because that's where the research is quite clear, your body remembers. And if we look at ancient wisdom and indigenous learnings, so does your lineage and your ancestors. Like, it all filters down. But the healing starts with awareness and one pattern and one choice. So I would say even every digital choice, like, and this is when awareness and mindfulness, and I know some people think that's woo and whack or whatever or woke, but I think when you become really conscious about what you're putting your energy in and what your environment is stimulating or triggering in you. Every digital choice we make, the diet we Google, the wearables we strap on, and the habits we log, all of them tell a story, not just of now, but later. So, digital health research is showing that our apps, devices, and logs become extensions of our memory, mood, and motivation.
That's for those people who actually do log what they do. But the thing is, you don't even need to log yourself, because our devices are logging everything we're doing. Not to
Mm,
scare anybody, just saying. So,
mm,
so
mm,
your
mm.
wearables, your health log, if you have one that you consciously do, or that it's picking up from your moods. Because remember, all these big companies are actually analyzing all our data,
Music.
all that sort of stuff. Um,
Mm,
or your journaling app, those data trails aren't just bits and bytes. They're actually breadcrumbs that trail through your health narrative, what you're programming into your body and into your lineage, if you like. So I think it's really important that even if we're not doing these things consciously, it's actually
mm,
happening, and somebody else is doing it, right?
mm, mm.
Somebody else knows about your financial.
Do you have
Uh,
a Woolies card?
do I have a Woolies card? No, I do not. But I do have
Neither
a
do I.
frequent flyer card. But
Me too.
I mean, it's not just Woolies, because uh,
No, but
everything's
that's an example, right?
yeah, it's an example, but it's a and I don't think it was Woolies, but it was that you know, I can't remember. I might even have spoken about this before, but the story about the dad that s- the shop that sent out um offers for things that had to do with pregnant women to this household, and the and he went and he challenged them, and it turned out his 17-year-old daughter was pregnant because of her purchasing habits.
Whoa.
Right, so
Whoa.
there's
Yeah.
somebody's
Yeah.
watching you, and you and I think that the more conscious we become about things, and we shut
Mm,
down privacy and all that, sort of, just because we're out there, all our data is out there.
mm,
I mean,
mm,
I have made a conscious decision that it's okay. I'm not I'm fine for my data to be used to train technology and AI, because I
mm,
believe that we need to uh, consciously do that, but that's my choice. I do not expect
mm,
anybody else to do it. You certainly do need to lock down privacy, and we're
mm.
talking about DNA in the body, but I'm talking about DNA all as well, right?
Well, I mean,
For
this is the
children,
merge.
to make sure
Mm,
that they are protected. There are so many influences of young people today, and specifically with AI, and specifically with deep fake clones, where somebody can
mm,
create from a photo of you, they can create a
mm,
video of somebody doing vile things that has nothing to do with you.
mm.
I know that that
Yeah.
has had very negative effects on young people, but it doesn't even have to be that bad. So
Mm,
for young people, there are no, for all people, there is the need to educate on privacy and locking things down, not, you know, Meta, Facebook, Instagram. They
mm,
take all
mm,
your data, right? You can
yeah,
shut it down though. And I just saw an article by somebody, Stu McLaren, who does community building and things, and he actually basically showed you exactly where to go to shut it down. Now I'm a
mm,
little bit ambivalent to close off my wisdom from training the
mm,
future, right? So
yeah.
that's my choice.
But
But
that's your legacy. That's
yeah, yeah,
your digital
yeah,
legacy.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
But
think it's important to recognize what we're normalizing, right? And what will our children learn by watching us tap, track, and scroll? Like,
mm,
and it's more than just metrics. Than and Facebook using it. Well, actually, it is more than that. But at the same time, it's
mm,
about the meaning. What are we demonstrating?
mm,
Our behavior modeling and
mm, mm.
are we using tech as a tool or are we using tech to escape? And I guess that's the challenge that we have in sharing our legacy to our children, because we could be doing both, we could be doing neither. Do you know what I mean? Like,
And it's not necessarily a bad or a good thing, but there's a thing about awareness. And I always say that everything starts with awareness. When you know about things, I could go on a rant about so-called unconscious bias. It's not unconscious if you've been told, but that's not what we're talking about today. But we think that we're in control of our apps and the things that we use, Fitbit, the Oura Ring, the Calm apps, but the thing is, all our data is out there unless you shut down Facebook and Instagram and
mm,
TikTok
mm,
and
mm, mm, mm.
LinkedIn and everything. Our data is out there and it is being used by others. So we might as well take charge and own it ourselves and certainly be aware of it. So it's not, they are part of our kind of family archive, if you like. I love going back and looking at photos from like 15 years ago, right?
Yeah,
But the question isn't just what is my data saying, but what is it teaching others? What is the legacy
yeah.
there, and how does it shape the future, right?
Oh, do you know what? That's made me change my mind about a Woolies card or IGA card, because I was like, oh, bastards, they're just following me and trying to sell me more stuff. But you know what? My shopping, other than my kids' obsession with clinkers at the moment,
With
is
what?
generate clinkers. Have you heard of clinkers? They're like the chocolate things with the color inside. They got a guess. You pick one, and if this happens, if you choose the right color, this will happen, whatever. Anyway, but I'm thinking now, I shop pretty healthily. Like, I buy lots of fresh fruit, veg, and I would be feeding
So
that
you're a role
data.
model, right? You're a model for,
Yeah. Oh,
um,
I didn't think of it in that way. How interesting. That's
but
so
it's
fascinating.
interesting though because there's specialized stores as well. But they don't have the cards and all that sort of stuff. So how do you
No.
actually? So we've
Yeah.
got a whole food store here. We've got
And they don't
a
have
local
one.
bakery.
Mm.
We've got
That's the thing. It's the big
the
corpse.
local Italian shop that has um, locally grown vegetables
Yeah.
and imported stuff from Italy because that's
But
what we like.
they're not teched in though, are they?
They're not
That's the
tagged in,
problem.
so how can we
Mm.
put that out anyway?
Yeah, interesting, different discussion. But I guess something that I've been working with a lot lately, and as I said at the top of conversation, is that I've become very conscious about regulating my nervous system,
Mm,
because something that runs through my family, and I'm not joking, like, I have manuscripts from my family who came from Scotland, landed in the US in the Mississippi, and they share their story of the cross America travels to their settlement in California. Like, I can pick up from their stories some of the patterns and behaviors that I still were held by my granddad, and then or my grandmother from the US, and then I'm seeing like what now is serving me, and in doing that, it comes back to my nervous system, and
mm,
by me regulating my nervous system, the anxiety, the stress, the fear, the migration, the not belonging, all those feelings that have transmuted through the times, were sort of stopped at my grandfather and grandmother to some extent because they changed their patterns, but they also packed up and left America and came to Australia. But what I'm saying is, by me recognizing and acknowledging that and regulating my nervous system, I can see that that's having an impact on my kids.
Yeah.
So what I've been working on is understanding that and how I use technology to help me and help them, but being mindful of what I'm leaving behind. I even say thank you and please to ChatGPT all the time, just to
I would recommend
instill.
doing that, because it's just, and some people say, oh, but then you're burning more data. I can tell you
I
what,
know.
ChatGPT, there's version 5 that's burning all the freaking data. If you ask me,
Yeah,
the hardest
yeah.
to.
But I guess for
There's no
me,
no evidence behind that.
right. Well, that's interesting. I have a different question about that. But I guess for me,
Yeah.
it's really about getting my tribe, my family, my connections, my networks to really feel safe.
Mm,
And in being safe, evolve and enhance that resilience that I know happen, that, to survive
mm.
crossing countries, we've got
Yeah, yeah,
resilience, right? In
yeah.
my genes. So how do I pass that on and express it in 2025, 26 in a way that is relevant and
Yeah.
and leaving a legacy that can be passed on in a
Yeah.
healthy, adaptive way for the
Mm.
future. And I include tech in that process. So
Yeah. So I guess legacy isn't reserved for monuments or for big moments or anything. It lives in your morning routines, your screen habits, your dinner table conversations. But I want to add that we live in a very fortunate moment in time where we actually
mm,
can use technology to find out. Like, that is a very unusual thing, that you actually have manuscripts from their travels across America.
totally.
People
It's
don't have that.
so rare.
In today's world with technology, you might be able to find those things even without having them in the hand. We have the ability to be much more aware. So, with your grandparents, when they came here, it was much more about survival. It was not about optimizing their life. It was like,
Mm.
okay, well, this is the life that we live in, but this is how things are. And I to a certain.
Can I interject there? I kind of disagree. I think they migrated for better opportunities.
Oh, I'm sure that most people who migrated, the people who migrated to the US, the people who migrated here, uh, they they did that for opportunities, and so it's kind of funny that some of us have turned into anti-migration, but
Exactly
that's a
my point.
whole
Mm,
different can of
mm.
worms,
I've got
you
some
know.
of that in my yeah.
So yes, we for opportunities. However, we didn't have that. I think we're living in an age where we have an awareness that we actually are more in charge of our, um, if I can say, our mindset destiny, rather than the
Yeah.
physical destiny. If that makes sense, right?
Yep.
So we can actually,
Totally.
we kind of, you, through your research, that we talk about googling things, but most people are ChatGPTing things now, or large
Mm,
language models are helping Google. Google uses Gemini to find things, etc. So we just have all this data and tools at our fingertips, which could get into overwhelm. But if we raise it right or use it
mm.
right, then that is an advantage. And as long as we don't get obsessed,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
As long as we don't think we have to do these things.
And I think it's also important to talk about it and discuss and hash things out, particularly if particularly with the AI stuff with young people. Like
Yeah.
that's, exploring real world situations versus AI or virtual, or, even the kids on the chat. Anyway, airing it out. But what I wanted to add in that I found some research that said even an open label placebo show when they used a placebo, which people knew about, when people knew something was symbolic, so if you think about ancient wisdom and all the mythological things, what have you, if it's meaningful, it still works.
Yeah,
So
there's,
so these ancient, the indigenous rituals, the dancing, the ceremony, that anchors them into their legacy, their song lines, their
uh,
historical ancestry,
uh,
and I think that's a really beautiful thing that I think in my culture anyway
uh,
is kind of forgotten.
I think there's so many years ago when I still lived in Oslo, so probably we're talking 35 years ago or something. I found this book, thin, slim book, at a as a secondhand store. It was called Science and Magic, and it was
Oh,
actually talking about. It wasn't a very old book or anything. It was probably for kids. I don't know. I just found it fascinating, and I unfortunately don't know where I've got it now, um, but it was talking about a variety of experiments that were run and things like placebo. So, in particular, placebo effect, but how they found that the placebo effect was in the old days when you had the um, servants and uh, masters and things like that.
helpers.
If
Mm,
if the doctor convinced the servant that it would work, it was much more effective. So if I convinced you that something would be much better for your children, even if it
mm.
was placebo, your belief would make that work
Yeah,
for your
yeah,
children.
yeah.
And it's just fascinating. And there's loads of evidence around it.
Yeah,
Loads.
totally.
So
And I think that's where epigenetics can come in because it's like the nurture versus nature kind of argument, right? Like you receive your DNA, but the environment allows or can shape how you express that DNA. And
yeah,
therefore, particularly from a parent's perspective, which
yeah,
I often speak from, is that if you nurture an environment that it fosters and embodies working healthily with AI and technology, but also maintains this balance of culture, respect, and
mm,
resilience,
mm,
and the ability to face real life things, then marrying them together is the environment that the kids learn to evolve and adapt in. So
uh,
I just think that's a really fascinating thing. And rituals, and like for us, birthdays and Christmas were big, but that's bit boring really. But my husband's culture in Sri Lanka, they have like these very strong rituals and cultural practices that really tie them to their Buddhism,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
um
absolutely.
and that keeps the religion, well, it's not a religion, it's a philosophy, but for
It
them
is.
it is, and their belief, and that ties them strongly to that, and they're quite, their self-esteem and confidence is quite strong based on that. So keeping those things in your DNA and nurturing it in an environment so
Mm.
it's expressed to its highest good is a very powerful space to be in.
So if we're rounding off like the rituals and things, so I guess you'll light that candle, close the laptop at 8, or I think you should probably close it before that, take a deep breath before bedtime. It's not just self-care, it's actually ancestral technology.
Yeah. And try to anchor this. You don't need to break every cycle because I feel like that would literally be impossible. But just just one little thing. Start one at a time, and let that be the beginning of a new story.
Hmm.
So things I can share that work for me are journaling. I handwrite journal. I also chat GPT journal these days, which I find quite helpful. And and I and I ask myself, well, I work with, I'm a part of a community that explores epigenetics and ancestral wound and hearing. So I don't like to use who am I becoming, but I like to explore prompts and topics that allow me to
Yeah.
kind of go back into where am I? Where have I got to? But what now do I want to share, not just with my kids, but with the world? So, legacy isn't just inheritance. It's also about embodiment and you becoming someone's ancestor.
In the making.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess picture, if you can sort of picture your daughter, your niece, your godchild, your future self, or some of the people that we work with, whether they're young or older or whatever. What belief about their body or their data or their freedom do you want them to carry?
Yeah. 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 And I mean, totally up to you. I have created an altar. I have an altar and it has my ancestors on it. It has my kids on it. It has my husband on it and my family, without any technology. And I touch base with it on a daily basis in some way. And I use that to anchor, anchor into where I'm at the moment and what I want to keep sharing, what I like sharing, what I want, the best parts of me. And then I face the shadows and the dark parts and hopefully work through them and transmute them. They're not around, but I just try and minimize how much they're out and projecting onto other people.
Uh, I'm not really much of an altar kind of girl. I'm more of a cowgirl today, anyway. Wearing a cowgirl hat today. But this isn't
I'd say beach hat. It's a beach hat. You got
It's
beach
like a
vibes.
cowboy hat, cowgirl hat. But
Or bowling.
it feels like my friend who gave it to me. Um, she always wears like kind of cowgirl hats, so that's what
I
it is.
love it. I love it.
Anyway, sort of rolling off of that one. This isn't really fantasy. It is actually about inheritance, and you get to author it, and that is
Yeah.
the really powerful thing, right? Legacy visioning isn't woo. A little
Yeah.
bit woo. A little bit more
No.
Steph than Gry, maybe, but it's actually it's actually design thinking for the soul. So design thinking is, where you look at the problems you've got and you kind of evolve and ideate around that. And I think that's really important. I love that design thinking for the soul
I
and the
love
future.
that. Yeah. And really legacy isn't about achievement, it's about alignment. And the most powerful thing that you pass on is your presence. So whether it's tracked on your wearable, embedded in your rituals, or encoded in your gene expression, you're always leaving a trail.
Just make sure that you're in charge of that trail yourself and not somebody else, not Mark Zuckerberg, definitely
Mm.
not Elon Musk. Sorry.
Are
Okay,
you
be
getting
careful with what
political?
I say out loud, right?
Yeah.
But how about you track a ritual you'd want to teach someone? Speak your values out loudly. I know I do. Curate your digital world like it's part of your family archive because it actually is, right? You
Mm-hmm.
need to be in charge of these things.
Yeah. And you're the bridge between what was and what's possible. And your DNA is not your destiny, and your data is not a burden. And you are the author of the legacy, which starts right now, if you want it to. Up to you.
We're rounding
And
off.
oh yes, rounding off. Whether you joined us for one episode or all 10. Oh my gosh, Gry, I can't believe we've done 10 episodes. Woo-hoo-hoo! This was season 1, built for you,
And for us.
healing, opening and up-leveling me, which I've been so grateful for. So thanks, Gry, for sharing these 10 episodes. I know we've been on a journey, and thank you for staying constant and curious and courageous. And I really appreciate being across from you and, sharing this space and creating safe spaces for other women or whoever to do what they hope
For
to
quirky
achieve in their life.
humans navigating the
Quirky
messy.
humans in the messy middle. Messy
All right.
middle. I love it. Thank you.
So that concludes our recording for this season 1. And we'd love to hear what you say, what landed for you, what will you carry forward, not just of this episode, but for the whole season. And then we'd love to hear what you would like to hear us explore in season 2. We will be bringing in some cool people to chat with us. I don't know how they're going to get in word in edgeways with the amount of words that come out of our mouths, but we'll just have to sit back. Maybe I have to sit down for those ones. If you have somebody like us to reach out to.
Yeah. Or if you're somebody you want us to reach out to.
Yeah, that's
connect.
Yeah.
We're in. We love it. Oh, sorry. I thought you said if you know someone.
If you have somebody you want us to reach out to that you want to get on the show.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of funny. Anyway, because I think we think so alike, and we go, hang on, didn't I say that? Oh, I said that. So, but until 2026, your beauty, your energy, your story, they're worth the investment.
You're not behind, you just are, and you should just be. And start being now. Live it and pass it on. Woo! Thanks, Gry.
Thank you, Steph.
See you next season. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Vitalify Unplugged. If this episode sparked something in you, share it with a friend. Hit follow or subscribe. And don't forget, we love hearing from you. So send us a message and tell us what's lighting you up. See you in the next episode.